Hey guys, Happy New Year. I hope that 2021 is a better year for you than 2020 seems to have been for most people. So I've got here a video on Super Football, the prototype demonstration game for the Intellivision keyboard component. The video is going to be in three parts. So the first bit will just demo the game as it stands. So that you can see a bit of the gameplay. Then the second bit we'll talk about what there is and what there isn't. And then in the third bit we'll show you the setup that allows us to do this. So without further ado, as they say, let's start it loading. Okay, so there's 4 downs. Possession changes hands. Let's talk about the game a bit. So, as you probably heard, this is a tape game which has been put together from a recording that was made by Frank Palazzolo. Hat-tipped Frank, as always. I don't know where the original recording came from. On Atari Age, there's some suggestions that it may have been made from a tape owned by Alex Pace, but I don't know. So the game is very much a tech demo or a demo or early prototype of some description. So to deal with the obvious immediately, so you've got an isometric view rather than the normal kind of side view from the other Intellivision football games. You can see the keyboard component text, high resolution text, smaller text up at the top there. So it's definitely running in conjunction with the keyboard component. The tape is about 5K in size, so it's larger than the released version of football, but smaller than Super Pro Football. As you can see, you have 8 players on each team rather than the 5 that you see in the other versions of Intellivision football. Perhaps the most important thing to realise that's not necessarily obvious immediately is that you don't have direct control of any players. So unlike normal football where you have a highlighted player that you can control with the disc, that's not the case here. The only input that you have is in choosing the formation of the offence or defence and controlling hike of the ball and throwing of the ball. Hiking and throwing are exactly the same as the other versions of the game. So the top action button hikes and the lower action button throws. There are only 6 formations, not the 9 that you typically have. So we can step through those now using with red in defense. In offense. So this is formation 1 for both offense and defense. So I will hike and throw the ball. Then we have formation 2. Hike. And I can't throw. However, I do seem to be making progress, which is highly unusual. Formation 3. Hike. And throw. Didn't seem to be the best move in the world, throwing there. Formation 4. Hike. I didn't throw, sorry. Obviously, we now switch teams with possession. So for formation 5. And formation 6 looks as though I think it's intended to be a kicking game, but you can't actually kick. So at this point there is nothing that can be done with the player in possession. So that's your lot. If you try and use any of the other formations, hang on, they're taking their time getting back to the huddle. 7, 8, or 9, it says no thank you. We had some hope that using the run, pass or kick buttons choosing a formation may work and allow things to progress differently, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So if, for example, I choose, you're in possession. So if you choose kick, so that's 9, and then a play. Again, no dice, just wait to be sacked. What we did find is that there are a number of bugs. So let's see if we can recreate one of the more interesting ones. So you do 5, I do 1. So hopefully the ball will go out of play here. Oh, I didn't quite make it. And now possession changes. Okay, so we'll have to play on for a little bit. So other things to notice, obviously making progress seems to be very, very hard. As you can see, we're heading back towards Blue's goal line here. You'll also notice that the score is initially 14-7 for some reason. Might suggest that this is a demo that's supposed to give the impression of dropping into the middle of a game. We have managed to get as far as the goal line. In actual fact, we might be able to do that here. What was the one? Was it 6? Yeah. So if you, oh no, it's me, isn't it? Okay. So that, why don't I do? Oh, that's going to lose me loads of yardage, isn't it? I'll do 2. When we got to the goal line, there doesn't seem to be any diamonds in the end zone, as was suggested on Atari Age. When you score, and we've only managed to score a safety. By the way, I hope you're impressed with my knowledge of NFL football here. When you score a safety, the scores don't update, and possession returns to the 20-yard line of your opponent. So, in this instance, if if red scored a safety on blue, then we'd end up at red's 20-yard line. And hopefully we will shortly be able to recreate this bug. Okay. So this is the problem, is you get close and then possession changes and then you end up halfway back down the pitch again. Surely he's not going to make it through the middle there. No. Okay, right. Okay, so let's see if we can recreate this bug. So I go 1, you go 5. Oh yes, there we go. He makes progress. Unheard of. So the bug seems to occur when the scrummage takes place and close to the bottom of the field, at which point with this play it's possible to throw the ball out of bounds, which hopefully will happen now. There we go. No, okay, but we didn't get the warbling backwards and forwards. I wonder if it will change. No, it didn't do it this time. Weird. Try again. There we go. Now, you'll have noticed that that was 4th down, so this should now be 1st down to me. It's actually 2nd down. What we found is whenever the ball goes out of bounds, possession flips, but the down number kind of remains where it should have, which is very strange. So yes, the game as a whole is far from complete. So in terms of the setup that we have to do this, as I mentioned, this is a tape game. So I'm going to take the camera out of the holder that I was using, pop that in there. So what we have here is, as you might expect, my enabler, Ron the Cat, has provided his keyboard component. And it has been opened up, broken apart in order to gain access to stuff and investigate generally. You will notice that although you heard a tape earlier, there is no tape in the tape drive. The reason for this is that we've gone and hooked up the cable here that would normally go down in there. And instead we're routing it over to a breadboard with a Teensy microcontroller on it. So this Teensy is simulating, or partly simulating, the tape drive. So it has the game firmware loaded on it. It's not at 5K, it's no biggie. And the tape only has data on the pre-recorded data tracks. So there isn't any home recorded data and there isn't any audio at all associated with this demo. So the Teensy can simulate both the pre-recorded and the home recorded data tracks, but only for playback. So it's not possible yet to record anything. And it can't handle audio, at least not yet. Theoretically, I think it's powerful enough to do that. So yes, the signals from the keyboard component are still mirrored through the Teensy to the tape drive. So when the keyboard component asks the Teensy to do something, then the tape drive responds as it normally would. but all the data is fed by the Teensy back to the main keyboard component motherboard, which is under this shield, RF shield. So the Teensy, as you can see, is powered by USB, and it's also connected up to my laptop here, and it reports back to the laptop all the data flowing backwards and forwards, so for diagnostic purposes. So to give you a quick demo of how this works, we can reset the keyboard component. We can then reset the Teensy, which just requires unplugging at the moment. As you can see, this is also very much a system in development. So Teensy is now saying that the keyboard component is initialized and the motor is stopped. So we can now go for tape and enter. And so as you can see, the keyboard component tape is responding as the signals come through. And we are feeding data into the keyboard component from the Teensy. 5K doesn't take too long to load at the bit rate that the keyboard component operates. There we go. So that's what we have. Hopefully we can finesse this a bit and get some more of the software up and running and demonstrate it to you. But as a piece of prototype software, I thought that might be of interest in the new year. So yeah, Happy New Year to you all, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.